Hello, my friend and earthly neighbor, and welcome back to another fabulous week in the awesome month of August. Well, last week we had a powerful lunar eclipse in Aquarius, which might have knocked the spiritual wind out of you. This week, Rercury goes Metrograde, and next week, a solar eclipse in Leo knocks it out of the park. But Sensei says, you're beginning the story you were born to live. From my smartphone to yours, keep streaming for your weekly Namaste Today. Welcome to Namaste Today, an absolutely loving way to kickstart your day. I'm your heartfelt host and the Sensei to serious joy, Christopher Witecki. Welcome back, my friend. Namaste. Well, we are in a turbulent astrological season. Last week I was on vacation, but we had a partial lunar eclipse in Aquarius on Monday that pushed most people to let go of some sort of heartfelt attachment. You might have been attached to that since 1998 or as far back as birth. This week, Mercury goes retrograde, calling for you to rethink what reality, Virgo, you want to live. And next Monday, in this retrograde, we have the Great American Solar Eclipse, which will make all of the northern continent go dark for a few minutes. And this will be a powerful punch toward the story you were born to live. So in our upcoming segment this week, I'm going to talk about how really this week is a countdown to that solar eclipse and your personal dreams. And later in our tea time, I'll dive into what this Mercury retrograde means for you. But first, let's take a look at today's moods and your zodiac weather. This zodiac weather is from Monday, August 14th to Friday, August 18th, 2017. Looking at your 5-day moodcast. Well, looking at the week as a whole, the week begins very wonky, but slowly builds up in intensity and clarity. Let's drill down. On Monday, it's cloudy and shifting as step 21 continues to rule the day, but moves to breakthrough by the afternoon with step 22. On Tuesday, it's cloudy and pensive with a chance of breakdown and breakthrough as step 22 rules nearly an entire second day. On Wednesday, however, it's sunny and clear. Things get focused, and a yod pointing to Pluto means it's the death of old rules. On Thursday, it's sunny and hopeful. The sun comes out with a rainbow, but Venus square Jupiter means you might be fearful to receive. And on Friday, it's cloudy and spiritual as you contemplate the universe and what you want to manifest in the eclipse. In this upcoming segment this week, I'm going to talk about how this whole week really is kind of wonky, but is really a build-up to the Great American Solar Eclipse. And if you don't know, that eclipse is for you to live the story you were born. Let's take a look. Taking a peek at the upcoming week, I coined this week 3, 2, 1, liftoff. And when I say liftoff, I mean we are lifting off the story we were born to, lifting out of the karma we have experienced so far in our life, leaving behind all of our fears and our aches and our pains, and lifting off towards the story we were born to live. This is a powerful moment in time, I believe, my friend. In fact, the Mayan shift, if you remember that, was in December in 2012. That was the beginning of the New Age, the beginning of the Enlightenment. That year, Uranus also entered into Aries. Aries is our ego. Uranus is innovation. So in that very year, the universe said, okay, humankind, it's time to lift the ceiling to our enlightenment, and it's time to innovate our egos to get there. Well, as of August 2017, Uranus is now complete with the ego transformation. Uranus during the eclipse will be at step 28, Aries, and it will be retrograde, which means it is stationary there, and this is the degree it's focused on. Step 28 is a manifestation degree, so we're ready to manifest this new ego. At the very same time, we get a total solar eclipse at step 28 Leo. And step 28 Leo is something of manifestation, step 28, that is our heart's greatest dreams. And that energy, our greatest dreams and our new ego, trines into Saturn and the galactic center, which is the story you were born to live, or you could say your destiny or your fate. So this event that we're building up to is the first kickoff, really, of the new ego since the Mayan shift. It's the first time we're really taking a step forward. And it's not just the new ego, it's the coordinated efforts of this ego, something our heart wants, and our personal destiny. And I'll add in for some extra cayenne pepper that Black Lilith is conjuncting Saturn, which means it'll also be the end of our fears, certain fears we've lived with. So this is galactic, this is gigantic, this is probably the biggest step the human race has made since the Mayan shift, in my opinion. And I'm so glad to be here to share it with you. Now, that said, the week we're about to live is the countdown to this moment. Up until now, in the Leo race here, we got into our hearts in Leo. We had a lot of clearing to do, as we do every year, releasing our heartbreaks, releasing those things. Then we were slapped with the lunar eclipse last Monday, which basically was the universe saying, let go of this security blanket of some sort. Let go of some old definition of love, of self-love. Let go of the way you were loved as a child because it wasn't enough. Even if it was perfect, it wasn't enough. We're always growing. Let go of your immature, heartfelt attachments. And last week was really, it was difficult. I was on vacation. I'm so glad I took a vacation during that week. That was the first time I used astrology for my benefit. And I'm glad because it was icky. We were let going of old. If I wasn't having vacation experience during that week, I don't think I would have liked it. Most people I spoke to were having a really hard time going through really powerful change. And this week, as we move into the countdown to the solar eclipse, now that we've let go of these old attachments, it's time to turn towards what our heart is truly dreaming of. And of course, as we turn towards it, we must give ourselves permission. We must also be in non-judgment mode. We must protect it and not judge it before the outcome. I mean, it's not just turning towards the dream, it's us not pissing on the dream as we turn towards it. So I want to walk you through this week that we have upcoming so you can be really clear and really strong on where you stand. And the week starts kind of wonky because we're at that time of the year where the Earth is actually in a step number for more than 24 hours. That's because the Earth actually slows down and speeds up when it goes around the sun, like this. So when it's in this long stretch, it actually goes a little longer. So on Sunday and Monday, we have step 21 ruling both days. So we're opening up to new possibilities on Sunday and on Monday, but we very quickly go to step 22 Monday afternoon. So Monday is going to be cloudy and very shifty. What's happening is now that you're coming out of this old love story, it's time to look at what's possible. Look at what the heart can have. Imagine unlimited possibilities. And in some cases, because people have been in this little shell of no love and no self-love in their whole life, they really have no clue what happiness looks like, no clue what paradise is, no clue what serious joy is, because they've just been trying to not be in pain this whole time. So there might be a wake-up call. Step 22 rules almost 2 days, Monday all the way through Tuesday to Tuesday afternoon. It's going to be cloudy on Monday and Tuesday, and we have a grand trine. The grand trine between the Sun, Saturn, and Uranus is in effect all week. So basically, these three stories, the story of your new ego since the Mayan shift, the story of what you're fated to be, which only your soul knows, you have to ask, and something your heart wants right now. These start triangulating and coming closer into proximity as the week goes on. So Monday and Tuesday is the wake-up call. It's the time to go, hey, wake up, you deserve better. Some people have maybe held out in bad relationships up until this point, and the wake-up call will be Monday or Tuesday, even though the eclipse probably told you it was going to end. And so Monday and Tuesday are very cloudy. Jupiter also moves to step 19, Libra, which means that it's now time to manifest what's fair. So the universe is really trying to help you up everywhere. And I think Monday and Tuesday is very introverted, so I wouldn't try to do too much in the outer world. Wednesday, it's sunny and clear. Step 23 rules the day. I think by Wednesday, your mind will get it. You'll be like, oh my gosh, this is what I have to aim for in my personal serious joy. This is my solar eclipse intention. This is what I want. But probably the rest of you will be like, really? Okay, you know what I mean? So that's your heart speaking. And so there'll probably be this backlash, and you'll probably realize whatever the backlash is Whatever your heart wants goes against the rules. We have a yod pointing to Pluto on that day, and that means that we're going to realize that what we're considering here is radical, different, not the way we were raised, not the way our church told us, not the way society says. And that's all part of those who are part of the me evolution, right, which is the human revolution. You will go against the grain. So Wednesday is a clear day, but maybe shocking. Thursday, it's sunny and hopeful. At this point, I think you have decided to take the red or the blue pill from the Matrix, and you are hopeful about the choice you've made. Also, on Thursday, things start to get emotional, where now it's not just about the heart, it's about how you feel, how other people will feel, how things will end up feeling. And sometimes people fear doing things because they're worried about how things are going to feel. And then on Friday, it's cloudy and super spiritual. So Friday is not going to be a party day, my friend. Remember, Monday is the solar eclipse. But Friday will be very spiritual. And basically, this coming weekend, you'll be asking your spirit, is this the right thing to aim for? Is this the story I was born to live? Is this my destiny? Is this what my heart wishes for? Saturday, you'll be shoring it up. Sunday, you'll be shoring it up. And then Monday, it is the solar eclipse, where we knock it out of the park. Now, there's one thing I haven't talked about in this whole little weekly roundup, and that is the fact that during the whole week of doing that build-up with your heart and finding out what your heart wants, Mercury is retrograde. So go steep yourself some tea. Let's have our weekly tea time. Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is Rercury is Metrograde. And if you know me for a long time, that's my little joke, Rercury Metrograde. We tend to get things a little inside out. Now, if you're not familiar with astrology, Mercury retrograde is a period where Mercury appears to be moving backwards in the sky. It's not really moving backwards, it's that it's turned around the sun and started going the other way, basically, because it's going around the sun this way. So from our perspective, it looks like it's going backwards, but really it's gone around the sun and it's about to go around its back kind of course behind the sun. What it means metaphorically is that the polarities of our electrical energy literally shift. So what is the positive charge becomes the negative charge becomes the positive charge. In your brain, which is logical and intuitive, those are the two hemispheres of the brain. In your brain, if you're normally a logical thinker, you'll move more intuitive. If you're normally an intuitive thinker like myself, you go more logical. So for me, Mercury retrogrades are very productive for me because I'm usually very spaced out and on another planet most of the year. But when it happens retrograde, my logic brain kicks in and I'm just like doing math. I'm like calculating stuff. Like, it's awesomeness. So I look forward to it. Almost every time I've redesigned my website or rebuilt something, it's during a retrograde. I don't release it in the retrograde, but I usually redesign something. Now, in this case, we are doing some redesigning. Mercury is in Virgo. It went stationary at step 11. If you don't know, step 11 is the Grand Master degree of Virgo. So what this tells Sensei is that if it's beginning at step 11, we are basically going to give ourselves a whole new intellectual operating system. So you know how operating systems are, either your iOS with Apple or your Android, you know, on cell phones with Google or whatever, or your Apple, or you are IBM, DOS, well, not DOS, Windows now, right? Like, well, the brain has operating systems too. It has these systems in which it calls, what are the rules? What do you do if this happens? What do you do if that happens? This includes us smarting off and all that sort of thing. And Virgo is literally the hard code operating system. So Virgo is what we think about reality, what we think is real, what we think is possible, what we think is not possible. So for instance, if you were a person that grew up believing that you didn't believe in ghosts, like I don't believe in ghosts, well then you would never see a ghost because what you believe is what comes reality. God gives everyone the right to manifest anything they want. So if you don't believe in ghosts, you won't ever see a ghost. Now, let's say you have a friend that swears they saw a ghost, okay? It would be during a Mercury retrograde right now in Virgo where your mind would literally unprogram itself from not believing in ghosts. And then when Mercury goes direct, as you move forward, you now believe in ghosts. And in my opinion, you probably see a ghost by Scorpio. You know what I mean? Like, because it's in your belief structure, it's in your operating system. So perception is reality. You've heard that term before. Our mind gets hard programmed to certain perceptions of reality, and this Mercury retrograde is the unprogramming of an old reality. That's basically how I perceive it. Now, some fascinating things. Like I said, it starts at the Grandmaster Step 11, so that means we're going to fully rewrite our beliefs to full integrity. 11 steps of serious joy. So if you go through the 11 steps and rewrite through the 11 steps, right there it tells you that's going to happen. On the day of the solar eclipse, which is Monday, May 21st, Mercury will be retrograde at Step 8. That means the eclipse will be a point where we decide or redecide, retrograde, redecide what reality is. So on the solar eclipse, we are redeciding what reality is with Mercury retrograde at Step 8. Mercury continues to retrograde after that eclipse, by the way. And then when Mercury goes stationary, or is done with its retrograde, guess what degree or step number it stops at? It stops at Step 28, Leo, which is the degree the eclipse was on. Okay, so this could not be more clear, obvious programming from Creator. We're going to rewrite our reality, starting with what reality is, Step 11 Virgo, that's the Grandmaster step of what reality is, all the way back to Step 28 Leo, which is what the solar eclipse said we would manifest, and then forward. So we literally have to unwrite our programming so that we can incorporate the solar eclipse, and then we rewrite from the solar eclipse on. So it's this zipping and unzipping of your fabric of reality. Now, that said, you probably want to know how it affects you. Good, because I'm going to tell you. I'm going to go through all of the 12 signs and kind of walk you through a little bit of what's going to be zipped and unzipped, and remind you again of what the eclipse is going to be. And I'll be doing an eclipse special in the next show next week, so no worries about that. So starting with our purebred Aries. Aries are literally rethinking reality. They're the purebreds, so usually that means that they are dealing with precisely what everyone is dealing with at the core and first. Everyone else is going to have a variation of this, right? They'll have it pure. So Aries are rethinking their health, rethinking reality, and this is all based on making a new decision on the solar eclipse of what reality is to them. So you might have said, for instance, Aries, that reality is shift, it's not worth living. And I'm saying this retrograde might be a new decision, like, you know what, reality isn't shift, reality is just hard, or whatever. You'll do some sort of upgrade. Hopefully you'll say reality is serious joy. And the solar eclipse for you is literally for serious joy. Step 28 Leo is literally Aries trying to manifest their heart's greatest dreams. So you will be rewriting reality to accommodate what it would be like to have your serious dreams come true. Another way to look at this is, if your serious dreams came true today, your life would not accommodate it. So you have to build and think through the life for your personal joy. Taurus. Taurus, I'm very happy about this. I'm a Taurus. Taurus is actually rethinking what self-love is. So Tauruses are thinking about how much love they love themselves, how much love they give themselves. That's because the solar eclipse for them is a new castle, a new emotional security. And because they're getting a new, basically, childhood, a new golden childhood that they didn't have, they'll actually be making a decision on the solar eclipse for something else their heart wants. They're going to undecide what their heart used to go for and redecide something their heart wants to go for. And they're going after it based on coming from a good home now. This Serious Joy solar eclipse is a new home base that they've created. They finally got their foundation in place. I finally got my foundation in place. I'm so proud of myself now. Gemini. Gemini is rethinking their emotional responses to things. So you used to have a certain emotional response, which was pretty much nothing. A lot of Geminis just think about it. They don't actually emotionally respond. You're rethinking your emotional response, and that's because the solar eclipse is going to be a commitment to a huge idea that you want. In fact, on the solar eclipse, you're going to be committing to a new idea and deciding on having a new emotional response to yourself. So maybe the response will be that you're not just cold and calculating, that you actually care about your own feelings. So Geminis are rethinking their emotional field based on a great idea. Cancers, you are rethinking your thoughts in general. So Cancers have been caught in certain ruts of thinking. I know the Cancers I know are still saying the same old things, still complaining about the same old things. Their mind is stuck in a rut. And so they're going to be rewriting how their mind operates based on a new vision of what they're worth. So the solar eclipse for Cancers is, I'm worth this. I'm worth this much more now. And if I'm worth this much, well then none of this thinking and this attitude of it's always against me in the world's and men are always bad. That's another one from Cancers. Sorry, Cancers. I do have a lot of you as clients. So you are rethinking the way you think based on new self-worth. Leos, who this affects very heavily. Leos are basically rethinking their self-worth. They're rethinking their self-confidence, rethinking their self-worth. That's because the solar eclipse is a brand new, shiny Leo. So Leos are becoming a shiny new penny now. And on the day of the solar eclipse, you're going to be redeciding what you're actually worth because now you've got this new version of yourself coming out. So it's a recalculation of what you're worth. That does include money, but it also means what you're worth in relationships, what you're worth in the way people treat you, whether or not you should be in 5-star hotels or 4-star hotels, you know what I mean? Like, it's all of it. So, based on the new you. Virgo. Virgo is rethinking in this retrograde their defenses and their ego issues, okay? And if you know Virgos, they've been very defensive for lots of reasons. Life has been hard. They're very sensitive. So they're rethinking their defensive posture. The solar eclipse event for them is a new faith that they have never had before. And see, because Virgos are realists, if they have faith, they make that shift real. Okay, so they have a powerful change coming. And because they're going to have faith, they're going to have to rethink their defensiveness. It's no longer time to be so defensive and take things so personally and be so picky. On the day of the solar eclipse, you're deciding to put an old defense network of yourself down. Libra, you are re-questioning your fears and self-doubt, which Libras have a lot of, I have to say. That's where your Virgo consciousness is. And the reason why you're re-questioning whether or not you doubt things is because the solar eclipse for you is a new place in society, a new reputation in the world. So once you have this new calling in the world, you got to ask yourself, are you really going to doubt yourself? And the decision you make is to either doubt or no longer doubt, fear or no longer fear on the solar eclipse. Scorpios. Scorpios are reconsidering the level of society that they belong at. Scorpios have really just kind of taken where they are in the world as if that's where they were stuck. Like you were stuck there. You're born there, you're stuck there. And that's part of Scorpio's black and white attitude. But the solar eclipse is for them to have a new career benchmark that they probably had never aimed for before. And because of this career benchmark, you're going to have to rethink whether or not you belong in that crappy hotel or the nice hotel, right? Or you belong in this part of the woods or that part of the woods. And the decision on the solar eclipse is whether or not you belong in your old neighborhood or not. Sagittarius is, you are rethinking your career and all of your decisions with this eclipse. I mean, with this retrograde in Mercury. See, I'm already goofing up. The Mercury retrograde is you rethinking career, rethinking strategy, rethinking your leadership. That's because the eclipse will be an understanding of your life purpose. So this eclipse is like, I was born to do this for the Sagittariuses. And once you say you were born to do this, then you're like, well, I got to rethink all these decisions, parenting things and whatnot. In fact, you'll be reconsidering a pretty big career decision on the eclipse day. Capricorns. You are rethinking your core beliefs. Huge for Capricorns. And that's because on the solar eclipse, you are committing to a transformation of your life. You're saying, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for it. And as soon as you do that, you're going to realize you're in conflict with the way you were raised, what your religion says, what your religion says, all these things. So the retrograde is you rethinking your core beliefs. On the actual eclipse day, you'll be deciding probably, I no longer believe this, I believe this. And that's a big part of your transformation. Aquariuses, you will be rethinking what you trust and what you don't trust in yourself. All right? And that's because the solar eclipse for you, Aquarius, will be some sort of calling to a relationship change. So Aquariuses are having profound relationship change. I know Aquarius is changing romantic partners, changing business partners, changing personal assistants. Okay, Aquariuses are changing out the people that work for them. And because you change out probably with greater people that support you better, you're going to have to rethink whether or not you can trust yourself or not and how far your trust goes. So on the eclipse day, Aquariuses will be redeciding whether or not they trust themselves with something, probably a relationship. And then lastly, Pisces. Pisces, you are rethinking your marriage vows. So the way you treat yourself, what you're vowed to in yourself, what you commit to in yourself, this all has to be redecided and rethought through. And that's because the solar eclipse for you is some sort of new lifestyle, new way of living, new quality of life, new job, new vocation, some new way of living in the moment. And because this moment is here, you're going to have to rethink, like, well, maybe I shouldn't treat myself like I'm guilty all the time. Maybe I shouldn't treat myself like I'm in the shit house all the time, which is a lot of what Pisces do. So Pisces are rethinking their marriage vows. So that, my friend, is basically the Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde will be from August 13th to September 4th. I wouldn't recommend signing any contracts or starting any new business because there's so much change going on. You probably will want to change it, whatever you do, when Mercury goes direct. All right. Now, that said, I am back on the air this week. Woo, woo! I'm going to be changing my shows just a little bit, but I want to remind you that I have an audio broadcast that goes live on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. You can catch that at SeriousJoy.tv, or you can catch it in our Namaste Today Club, which is on Facebook. Come on down to namastetoday.club to be a part of that. I will be back this Friday with Friday Live. So we'll be going live. I'll have a special guest. We'll be starting to talk about health issues. And our special topic will be Conversations with God, Book 4, Awaken the Species. So I've been reading this on my vacation. If you want to discuss a page or a paragraph or a quote, just reach out to our moderator, Troy, in our club. Let us know. I'll bring you on camera on Friday to talk to you with that. I'm so grateful to be of soul service, so grateful for all those who have joined my personal Sensei service. And by the way, it's not too late. If you join my service right now, you will still be guided very personally to this solar eclipse and beyond. So if you're interested, it's just $3.99 to try for the first 30 days. Come on down to SeriousJoy.com. All right, friend, that's all for now, but I'll be talking to you soon in the future. Happy building to the solar eclipse. Until then, remember, I love you, and to live, love, be.